Now we are going to turn our attention to the debate here in the United States over protests, which are constitutionally protected, versus crimes which are not. In order to have that discussion, I want to share this article with you, which was written by Cal Fortgang, who is a legal policy fellow at the Manhattan Institute. This article was published at the Daily Wire as part of a collaboration to bring their readers exclusive commentary and research from the Manhattan Institute's world-class team of scholars. States are cracking down on illegal demonstrations, and radicals are panicking. Earlier this year, Utah enacted HB 331, which took several steps to enhance criminal penalties for crimes currently classified as misdemeanors. Arizona is close to sending a similar bill to the governor's desk. These bills draw on a concept called civil terrorism, which I coined in early 2025 and have fleshed out since then, including in model legislation developed alongside my colleagues at the Manhattan Institute. Civil terrorism refers to the weaponization of so-called minor crimes to intimidate or coerce law-abiding citizens into taking a political position. That would be the terrorism part. The best way to understand it is to consider its most common manifestation. Radical groups block a road en masse, chanting about their environmentalist, economic, or geopolitical views. They communicate to the trapped drivers that no trip to the airport, their jobs, or their families will be spared from the threat of future disruption until some policy changes are made. Rather than persuading their fellow citizens to support the changes, they threaten to make life miserable until enough people cry uncle and acquiesce. That is not how we communicate or settle political questions in our democratic system. We have robust First Amendment rights that allow us to channel strong, offensive, or controversial opinions into peaceable arguments, including in public spaces. But the First Amendment has never allowed people to shut down all other elements of American life so that some group can express itself with maximal, ruthless effectiveness. To which I would add, free speech also does not allow you to take other people hostage on the roads. That is called false imprisonment, otherwise known as kidnapping, which is a crime. His article continued, we have laws that prohibit disorderly conduct, vandalism, trespassing, and more. And if those laws fail to deter repeat offenders, or treat the minor crime of road blocking by one person, a nuisance, not a menace, the same as road blocking by 15 people, they should be updated. That is what civil terrorism laws do. Most Americans grasp this intuitively and recognize that civil terrorism laws present no First Amendment problem. Yet some organizations and media outlets seem invested in pretending otherwise. A recent attempted hit piece against me and the Manhattan Institute in Wired made some classic moves in trying to argue that civil terrorism laws are somehow violations of the First Amendment's speech protections. It made some classic errors and employed some recurring misdirection, which is worth addressing. The piece's subheader is self-refuting It says that civil terrorism laws would, quote, increase penalties for minor crimes committed while people engage in constitutionally protected free speech, end quote. If people are committing minor crimes, however, the fact that they are also engaged in some expressive behavior is constitutionally irrelevant. There is no get-out-of-jail-free card for yelling about a political issue while you do something illegal. What is a minor crime anyway? Just because something is classified as a misdemeanor now does not make it inherently unimportant. Certainly not deserving of First Amendment protection, as if it were almost legal. Civil terrorists exploit the fact that some crimes are treated with kid gloves and hardly prosecuted. They violate precisely those laws in creative, destructive ways, knowing that they will face minimal consequences and can return to breaking the law repeatedly. Their sympathizers, like the author of the Wired article, often emphasize that such law-breaking is non-violent. That's a red herring. Many laws prohibit non-violent actions because violent and illegal are not synonyms. They're not the same thing. Embezzling is non-violent, and it is still illegal. He continued, our laws protect against behaviors that erode the social fabric, such as subjecting thousands of people to needless traffic to make a political point. Americans have an interest in clean, functional, orderly, public spaces, which is why vandalism can be prohibited and treated as a serious crime when its message threatens further disruption or even violence. Another common criticism is that civil terrorism stigmatizes protests by labeling some demonstrators as terrorists. But these laws don't label individuals terrorists as a pejorative or put them on a list. Civil terrorism simply describes the application of terrorist logic through less violent means. We will continue to make your life miserable until you adopt our political position. Doing that with guns and bombs is violent terrorism. Doing it with other unlawful actions is still dangerous. More importantly, highlighting the logic of terrorism at play alerts lawmakers and our fellow citizens that the disruptions won't stop if we ignore them. To the contrary, civil terrorists regularly vow to escalate. Our policy response has to be a crackdown rather than a backdown. Fretting about the invocation of terrorism or emphasizing the irrelevant and arguable element of nonviolence is a good sign that these critics don't have much to go on. Frivolous First Amendment arguments attempting to extend constitutional protection to obviously illegal behavior shows that beyond all doubt. States have every right to ensure that their streets aren't surrendered to radicals who only care about the Constitution when they can wield it in bad faith against law-abiding Americans. The movement to put civil terrorists in prison, investigate their organizers, and ensure that public spaces belong to the public again is gaining steam. And it is taking flack because it is over the target. Which I would like to add is something that is not automatically true in every case, but is true in this case. Crimes are not protected by free speech. Speech is protected by free speech. It is that simple. And only the people that are weaponizing crimes pretend that this is confusing somehow. So we will do our best to clarify it with laws and some objectivity lessons via prosecutions. See if that doesn't clear things up for you.